Yeah.
I got my hemp beverage too.
You got your hemp beverage too. I think we're live.
I should. All
We
right,
are
sweet.
live on YouTube. So, Miggy, how's it going? It sounds like we all have our hemp beverages. Do we actually all have hemp beverages right now?
No, I have Maker's Mark too.
Oh, you have Maker's Mark. Okay. Yeah, I've got a beer and I've got
He's got a grain-based beverage.
Oh, check you guys out. So, like, I mean, like, so you guys consume a lot of those, don't you already? Like,
I
I
mean,
would
I've
say
had them. I don't usually buy them because at this point they're still like as far as my tolerance goes, like this can is 5 milligrams. I would have to drink like 8 of these.
right, right.
but obligatory plug for a brand social equity brand for from Illinois. They made these 50 milligrams. They don't anymore, I don't think.
What makes
However,
them?
Do they still sell this? It's a 500 milligram bottle of sugar syrup.
yes, I do believe they have that. Yeah.
You said it's a social equity brand. What makes them that?
They've got a social equity license in Illinois. They won a
Oh,
craft grow dispensary, which I do believe is open at this point. And basically, they're selling hemp. They've told me to like finance kind of their social equity thing since it's hard to get any
yeah, no, it's
cash.
insane. So, but the hemp that can, I mean, obviously they started business ahead of time, and then like they're in business, right? Like I'm not even in business. I'm just a guy that likes weed a lot. But
They're
like,
doing they're doing like the GTI or the Curaleaf approach, and they're playing like both sides.
yeah, which is like cool. I mean, like I don't really see the social equity part of that because like you got the kind of money to do that kind of thing, right? You know what I mean? Like it's not a, social equity is supposed to imply like this thing that you've been hurt. Like legit. My career has been pivoted because of my previous arrests and whatnot. So like the whole social equity to me sometimes it's just a little like
Well, yeah, I mean, Illinois also gave social equity licenses to like former cops that worked as narcotics officers. It gave them to former Chicago aldermen.
Jesus.
So it's like
Who
Yeah.
was that one
the pool is like a
restaurateur?
little diluted, but
What is his name? Something Stefani, or I about said Gwen Stefani, but that's the hollaback girl. Phil Stefani, is that right?
yeah, he's part of that group that has Green Rose dispensaries, but I don't think he was on the license.
Oh, okay. I just remember reading a headline in the Sun Times saying something like, "Oh yeah, that's what you're just saying." It was like an ex-cop, a famed restaurateur, and somebody else on this social equity license. You know. But to your broader point, Miggy, that's a great question. Like to start off with, it's like, what even is social equity, right?
the social equity conversation was a new one to me from Tom, like doing a podcast. Like he brought that up. And I think people on the side think about things, right? Like the same person who thought about like, well, we can extract Delta 9 from Delta 8 in hemp. Uh, we're good. Same thing with social equity, right? Probably a bunch of lawyers thinking like, how can we give disadvantaged people, and the other thing is like, how do you label disadvantaged people, right? Like that's another non-American. You can't just be like, oh, it's only the black and brown people or whatever the
Right.
case is. But yeah, I mean, to me, I always thought just the law itself, the parity of it is what I'm looking for. Something that where everybody has a chance, right? Because we have two different markets. Like you guys talking about because that can you have now, that was a medical market player back in the day, or were they just hemp?
No, they got a license after like part of the social equity licensing. Yeah.
Okay. See
Yeah.
that the hemp market here never took off that way. Like there was no hemp growers, and if they are, they're selling it out of state. They're not. There's no hemp market here in Washington State.
Well, and
That's
I don't think there would be here either if like things had actually ever developed. Like on the south side of Chicago, we have one dispensary.
damn. No, that
That's like
sucks.
half the city's area, probably like 800,000 people.
Yeah.
And there's in the city, in the area proper of the south side, there's one dispensary.
And then you have like what 500 vape shops.
Well, and that's just it. I think that's why there's so much drama with trying to rein in the hemp stuff, is because like in certain parts of especially Chicago, like that's the like legal option.
Yeah. No, I get it. I mean, it's booty, but I get it. Like I know Cole's very pro, hemp Illinois, and I just, I wouldn't mind being pro like anybody hemp. Like I met a grower at MJ Biz. This guy, California based, I guess it's called Culture Hemp, and in Coachella, California. And he's showing me beautiful acres of his greenhouse, like just gorgeous. I'm like, man, if that shit was fire because it looked good, I would promote it, But like, you just can't trust that Cheech and Chong. Is there what is the labeling on there? Does it tell you where it was sourced from?
This?
Yeah,
I don't know if it does. Let me see.
I just question all sourcing. There's, I mean, like it's not a
Well,
anti-hemp
but
thing.
but that too, like when we talk about sourcing, like I think is the hemp exemption still in place in Illinois, Cole?
What do you mean by that?
Like in the licensed market.
They can be
Oh, yeah,
involved.
correct.
That
It
is still
was
the okay. Because the
yeah.
because the MSOs like that have the big licenses, they can import hemp derived cannabinoids and put that in their edibles.
Yeah, pretty
So
fucked
it's
up.
like it's just yeah, it's just crazy. It's like, oh, so they can do that, but anyone else wanted to do that, like they can just get fucked.
That rule is so messed up too with the hemp
Right. Yeah.
because it says they have to follow whatever in line with the Illinois like whatever they have to register to, right? Like that's most of us don't care how people do business, right? Like I just want to eat my hamburger and go home. I don't care how you set up the restaurant and did things, but uh I
This is
do
what
care.
Phil was
Okay.
talking about. I didn't mean
Oh
to
yeah,
cut you
yeah,
off.
that's
This is
it.
what Phil
No,
was
that's
talking.
it. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And for people who don't know, this allows the hemp derived. Now, my question too with this order that they allowed, because they have to like somehow some form of licensing. Here in Washington State, we had this problem 5, 6 years before COVID. There was a company that was found out to be incorporating Delta 9 derived from hemp into the gummies and stuff, right? They're selling that distillate, which is kind of an unfair advantage for the local cannabis growers, right? Same thing with Illinois. If they're importing, no, I think it's only Illinois hemp growers, they can be a part of the rec
No,
market.
they can buy it
No?
from any state. That's actually one of the problems Illinois, not to cut you off, but that's one of
Oh,
the
they're
problems
good.
Illinois hemp growers have. They wish that this variance was so that you could only buy from hemp growers in Illinois, but
Yeah.
it's not. I've talked to two hemp growers that have sold to dispensaries in Illinois, like THCA biomass. But anyways, you were talking about
No, you're
kind of the
good.
same thing.
Yeah, no, I just find it that the consumer's being deceived in all this, right? It's not a our producer dude. He moved to Illinois just recently from Kentucky, and they went to your as Wake and Bakery,
Yeah.
and then they're excited, right? They go to this place, they look it up. Uh, he was like, "Hey, is this?" He's on the impression it was a legal like rec market type thing, right? And it's like, no, dude, it's a they're just getting distillate extract. All they have to apply for is probably their restaurant license, their food handler stuff, all the proper things for a restaurant business. But then you can just go, hey, let's infuse everything. Now we're a weed shop. And the thing is, the our guy, he's a high consumer. Like they smoke a lot, dabs and all that, and they had a really bad experience, kind of like an after effect from this Delta 9 that was extracted. Because I don't know if you saw in that FDA PowerPoint they put out recently, they talk about the soup in the what comes out of the with this extraction process, right? It's not a natural way to get this to convert the molecules to D9. They're extracting with other chemicals, and who knows what you get at the end. And then that's really the bad part here, right? People fucking smoke cigarettes. I don't care what people do, but that's how these markets are being hurt. And the consumer, are we going to get any progress, for consumer rights, for like employment protections? If everybody thinks hemp's legal now or weed's legal, are we done?
Right. But
Jeez.
to that point, I've heard you say that before, like, and I agree with the point. It's a brilliant point. But even in Illinois, there was a ruling within the last year that said, even though cannabis is legal, that people can still, test for drug, for cannabis and fire you off of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Um, so I agree with your point. It's just that like that's not exclusive to hemp, I guess is what my point is.
no,
You know what I
but
mean?
the hemp conversation, even when I was younger, trying to getting part of this conversation. At least, hemp has always been part of the lexicon of hemp hooray. It's a thing, and I never really understood I always saw it as two plants too, right? This 0.3% barrier is silly, and then you add layers to it by saying, okay, now we're going to have a hemp market in a regular natural cannabis market. uh, the consumer loses the end. Like if Illinois can figure out how to merge like the growers who call themselves hemp, and want to be involved in this consumption market, they're lying because they just want to be marijuana. They just want to be cannabis, right? That's it. We're just saying the can I have a water pipe, words, which is just redundant. It's I get it's your bag, but it's like not a fair to the consumer. I guess is the best way I can think of it.
Yeah, I want to display a graphic to make your
Yeah.
point about how silly the 0.3% thing is. But I do disagree with one point that you made that it's bad for the consumer because I certainly think that some people should be more regulated. Like there are definitely some bad actors, but then you have people like the people that make this drink or even the people that make this drink. Shout out to Cantrip. He's been on the show in the past,
Yeah. Yeah.
and he makes sure to use. He says he uses naturally derived THC, and I bring that up because I know that there's some conversation about synthesis and stuff like that. But to your
Mm-hmm.
point, this is kind of what you're talking about. Like hemp basically is this arbitrary just definition that the federal government made in 2018 that if anything's 0.3% THC by weight, it's in fact legal hemp. And so to accentuate that point or to illustrate that point, this is a comic from Brian Box Brown.
Yeah.
And it shows for our listeners that might not be viewing the podcast, it shows that, this little gummy has a sliver of THC, but it's mostly comprised of gelatin, sugar, and cornstarch. And so it's hemp. And I view that sort of as like a win in the sense that when you look at the Farm Bill and what it did, it descheduled hemp and its cannabinoids. And it's like, I guess my question is like, if cannabis becomes descheduled, which obviously I don't think we see happening anytime soon since they're going through the rescheduling process right now. But I just can't help but wonder like what would be any different, than what is hemp right now. Do you get what
Sure.
I'm saying?
No, I just think it's gonna be a hot mess, dude, for a long time. I get Tom's upset, and I get everybody else's. Like I'm part of that email thread now, where everybody has a fucking alliance in a group, and they're trying to all get their thing done, right? The Hemp Association is trying to save their ass, and then also the Cannabis Association, which is a very limited because the state makes it that way, right? It's not like everybody wants to be grower. I mean, everybody it should be a fair game, right? Everybody should have a chance to fuck up, but no,
And
you gotta,
that's what this issue I think comes down to. I wanted to before we get back to that because I've
yeah,
got another comic. I was
Well,
just
and
gonna
this
say you
I just wanted to bring up like
go ahead.
because like yeah, like the consumer is kind of getting screwed with there being a lack of certain regulations on hemp products. But like as someone who's lived in Illinois forever, like we've been getting screwed since 2014 when this all started. Like
yeah,
so that's just like part of I think mine and Cole's take on this whole thing is we're just extremely jaded towards the like CRTA licensed market. So like we see this as like an opportunity to subvert it and to maybe actually wind up opening it up in some sense. So that's why like I'm all like, yeah, these hemp people, because that's the only challenge I've seen to like the ridiculous way that Illinois set this all up, you know?
yeah. No, I get it. I mean, like it's like weed for the people, right? If and again, this guy that I met in Cali that had the huge ass grow, I asked him, I was like, so how you getting your product out there, right? Because the other infuriating part is the whole fucking gummy thing, right? Why are all these guys going to gummies? Why can't you just make some RSO so everybody can like make their own edible? Like that's we've got this mentality like here, this is this fucking 100 milligram gummy or whatever. Whereas the consumer can like learn from RSO and titration and all that stuff. But like, I just don't. It's still deceiving when it comes to like originally hemp was supposed to be for like saving the planet, right? Like this was the premise behind like, look, this fucking magical plant is medicine, but also it's going to be petroleum and you know plastics and gas. But they figured out there's cannabinoids in it too, like CBD. You know that was a big runner, and then what is it like? People are probably pulling in CBD from Africa and China. And again, that's my only issue is the sourcing thing because I know, like Cole, you said the guy tells you it's, and it probably is. I would love to trust every motherfucker that says what they say is in their product, but I don't. I've worked in
Yeah.
manufacturing for too long, dude.
But I guess that goes to what I think is the solution. I think there's three simple things we set in law that solve your concerns and concerns that I share, you know, because like, yeah, how am I supposed to just take somebody at their word for it? So it's like mandate testing of the products, mandate labeling of the products, and make sure they're not that they've got an age gate of some sort. And that's kind of back to Phil's point that he brought up earlier. These hemp derived products are being sold in dispensaries, and yes, they're mandated to be tested. And so it's like,
Cole, you're never getting away without taxing the stuff at 15% either.
yeah, yeah, I
So
was
add a fourth
conveniently,
one there.
yeah, I was conveniently leaving that out because I just like fundamentally disagree. But you're absolutely right. I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge that the state ain't gonna legalize anything or do anything without taxing it somehow. So you're
100%.
right. Um, but I wanted to just I've got an old clip that I wanted to play, but really quick because you brought up the Wake and Bakery, and
Yeah,
I think I'd watched the most bits of the most recent episode, and it sounded like you didn't finish your point, but I believe what I recall from the episode is that this person you know who generally has a high tolerance went out to the Wake and Bakery and got fucked up off of
yeah. They
what
had
they
an
thought.
ill
Right.
experience, and then even following day, you know, you remember Spice, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that was created. It is chemically the same as cannabis, right? That was for whatever reason this guy made it. It's chemically the same, but yet you know it's the most fucked up thing that does to people, right? Like the guy who created it regrets making it. You know, the other guys was sold under bath salts, right? So fucking, you can chemically do whatever to anything, and if it's not the same, right? That's my only premise too. Is like your body's used to one way of taking in this plant, and then you get like the McDonald's of weed, and then now you got the runs. You know, your endocannabinoid system's now taking a shit on you. That
Yeah.
was like kind of like where I was trying to get to is like the synthetic portion of involved with this hemp market. Like people who are making hemp, you could fucking like save the world and be packaging, you know, and be plastics. But instead, you want to be weed. That's fine, but we got to figure out how to make that happen because the processy is the farmer still loses in the end, right? Because they still have to like try and meet that 0.3% bullshit, right? If you got a hot you know crop, according to the USDA the rule, they're supposed to destroy it. Are they? You know, none of this shit's being enforced too, right? I don't
Right.
see like the USDA cops out there cutting down doors, not for the growers or the processors, but I do see police, you know, interrupting people who transporting or selling. In like one gentleman in Georgia, I'm dealing with Cortez Curry. He's selling that Trump weed. You know, you saw that Tom that they're using his video,
Mm.
and he got busted. He got ready for it, and then the warrant says THC on the thing, and they were trying to make a big stink about it, but then they took off all the sheriff department took all the claims about the arrest off of their social medias because I think now they're in the quandary, right? Like, oh shit, there is a company out there with a COA, but now the next battle is that COA good? Is that a good lab? You know, there's so many other fucking ways you can come attack somebody on this subject that you know
Well,
legally
and that's
fucked.
that's one thing just about the state right now where I do kind of enjoy it because it almost seems like cops don't know how to enforce these laws anymore. Like there was just some case I heard because in Illinois we have really strict rules about driving with cannabis, like
Yeah.
on you or like not properly transporting it. So like the guy had like a vape cart in his pocket and the cop like searched him and he found it and he was like, "Oh, what's this?" Like, like thinking
Mm.
he's gotten him in trouble. And he's like, "Oh, that's hemp." And they let him go.
Shit. See,
Yeah.
but it's still a case by case when it comes to the cops, right? Even when prohibition, like when I was younger, dude, I've been busted 3, 4 times, and every time I'm always honest with the cops, right? I'm just like, yeah, it's weed, and actually I've been busted more than that, but I'm gonna let go,
Right.
because it's kind of like always the discretion of the law enforcement. Now with this hemp marijuana debate, I get it's an out, but it's still like, yeah, maybe the cop doesn't want to do paperwork today, right? Like that's definitely probably a big one. Like, oh fuck, I don't want to argue the COA thing. Like now I have to go show up to testimony.
Right. I
Oh
just
fuck.
had like a cops that, or a guy that had his smoke shop raided, and the cops took over like 50 pounds of weed, and they had to bring it all back because like they weren't able to determine that it was or was not hemp. And I just think if we looked back at that 10 years ago, or if we looked at that 10 years ago, we'd be like, that's a win. Like somebody was selling weed, and the cops tried to fuck with them, and then they were like, ah, my bad. We got to bring it all back.
Oh,
you
I
know?
agree. That is definitely a win. That's that vape shop. I saw your episode on that. And then
Yeah.
that made me think too, though, like, uh, because you're fighting for the hemp industry. Right? I mean, you're just trying to find the middle ground, I guess, whatever. But like, before that was the guy off the streets, and that's who he's taking jobs from. There's just like layer of bullshit just to get to like real
Right.
legalization and regulation,
Well, and
right?
people have said like that they think that like a lot of the let's call it the traditional market has essentially transitioned to hemp, and I'm like,
Yeah,
exactly. Like again, this kind of goes back to the issue that Phil and I were talking about, where it's I wouldn't say it's accurate to say like I am for hemp. I'm for conceptually what hemp is, which is descheduled cannabis, and it all comes down to this last panel. I like using these graphics from Box Brown. For some reason, it's not zooming in for me. But this last panel says we want to vote with our dollars, but we cannot legally do it until everyone is on the ballot. And that's really just what I love about hemp. Not only did it decimate all these silly um, concepts from legalization, like you don't have a possession limit, you don't have a purchase limit, you can just get it delivered to your house, you can use a credit card. Not only did it decimate all of that, but again, here in Illinois, where we do have a highly limited market with basically only corporate cannabis to choose from, you know, it makes it feel like we have a larger ballot, to
I get
vote with
it.
our dollars legally. You know what
I
I
mean,
mean?
yeah, no, I totally get it. I just really hope that the flower you guys are buying is from an American grower, for the lack of a better, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and again, to those points, I think that if you have concerns about like what's in it, we should test it. And also, when I say that, we should also acknowledge that cannabis testing is highly flawed. There's allegations of lab shopping, moldy products being on the shelves. So it's like, I don't know that, you know what I mean? I don't know that, like, it sounds like we have an issue on both sides of the fence, in other words,
no, there is
right?
that. I work in the industry, dude, but not in cannabis testing. I work in metrology, and the one thing I don't think people think about when it comes to this big picture of like lab testing, which I say, I've always been saying lab regulation is plant regulation, right? That's all we fucking need. Just test the plant, let people know, because people will smoke cigarettes and do other shitty things. But like, uh, I think one thing people don't think about though is the bandwidth, right? Because here in Washington State, when it was medical, there was no. We had the Wild West, dude. It was fucking awesome. It was the most beautiful thing you ever see. I had fucking farmers markets. I go walk
Maine
into a
Maine still does that. They don't have seed to sale or testing at all.
see. I mean, every once in a while you get Oklahoma was beautiful for a minute. New Mexico's a really nice what they've done for the people when it comes to like anybody could just like say I want to be in a pot shop or be a grower. Any New Mexican do that, and that's like the fair advantage. That's social equity, right? I mean, but like I totally just got off where I was going on here.
It's okay. If you remember here, we're gonna play a small clip that's
Yeah.
short. If you remember, just pick up where you left off after this. This is a clip from the 90s. Not only is it literally called a TV show called the 90s, but it's literally from the 1990s. And I just thought it's not like this is like a kingpin checkpoint, but I just thought this was a really interesting thing. I meant to say checkmate. Uh, I just thought this was a really interesting thing to hear, like from a really old TV production. So I'm gonna try to turn
Really
my volume
old.
up. Yeah. Sorry, guys. Sorry. Just dated myself and dated you along the way. Um, we'll play this video.
World. Most of this week's program is about a common plant, hemp. Hemp is a plant that has been illegal to grow in the United States since 1937. One of the uses for the hemp plant is marijuana. There are also many other uses for hemp, including making paper.
But here we have some papers that are made
So,
from.
all right, we all know the paper and the thing, but did you catch that? How they were like, one of the uses of hemp is marijuana. Like, and they
No, I didn't.
about, oh, you didn't hear it? They said that right at the beginning, and that's what like really caught my attention because there's this idea that I've even seen Tom say it. I've seen Tom say it where it's like Jack Herrera was not talking about intoxicating products, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure I looked it up. If you look, the Emperor Wears No Clothes, I think it's like chapter 6 or 7, talking about the medicinal benefits of cannabis. So he wasn't just talking about
Sure.
hemp, you know what I mean? And definitely with the sailboat, though, he wasn't saying the sailboat like this is the part that
No.
gets you high. But I just think that really we're dealing with two arbitrary legal distinctions, and instead of favoring one over the other, again, I don't think that I do because, like, for example, I love Michigan's cannabis market. Like, I tell people about Michigan's cannabis market all the time, and that has nothing
Yeah.
to do with hemp. We're both smoking weed from Michigan right now. Am I
Nice.
wrong, Phil? Sorry, are you smoking weed from Michigan?
Yeah,
Yes.
of
So
course.
so it's really not about hemp and marijuana. It's about, again, this concept of open market versus limited market, and that's really
Yeah.
what it comes down to,
Well, I think you guys nailed
for
it right
us.
there with you guys smoking not Illinois weed, right? Like you probably go out of your way and buy like a quarter pound or something, take back, and it's like I don't have to drive back to Michigan for wherever, how far it's from me, right? Like you go out of your way for good weed,
Mhm.
and uh, you're not saying like, and I can't imagine. I haven't heard anything about like any hemp, like right. All these states are cracking down on hemp right now, right? On what they call it, intoxicating hemp, right? Like fucking weed. But the intoxicating part, I think that they should be limiting is the extraction process and or create a fucking fair market. But I don't think federally we're not going to see anything, unless rescheduling happens, right? As long as we're probably going to still stagnant right now, where hemp, the USDA rule is going to be the law of the land for probably maybe the next 2 years, probably, right? Like Tom thinks the cannabinoids might be defined this coming up one, but I don't think so, man. I don't. People, these fuckers don't want to change. No one wants to stir a pot, at least not for the better. Rescheduling it, create one big like post regulation of the plant. That way, you don't have to go through all that, chemical processing. Uh, Maybe people have more options besides gummies. You know, fuck, you guys have now that Gurgadelli sandwich. Like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind. And then again, nothing against Wick and Bakery, but it's all about like the sourcing and what you're using.
And I'm glad you brought that up because I almost forgot to address that. I really feel somebody else has told a crazy story about the Waken Bakery in the past, and I really feel anytime I hear somebody tell that story, I just think like that's a great story about personal freedom. This person was in the mood to do something out of the ordinary, and you know
Yeah,
they got what they signed up for, and it's a wild story. But I don't think it's enough. Like I think those stories happen with alcohol. Like I have similar stories with alcohol where it's like, man, like Jack Daniels,
yeah.
don't go crazy on that.
Or like the
I'm,
first time you have wild turkey and then you realize it's like
oh,
stronger than other whiskey.
is it whiskey or gasoline, dude? I
Well,
mean,
right, yeah.
but yeah, no.
I did just want to say I love that you called Jardinera Ghirardelli.
I mean, whatever that fucking. I covered the story the other day, and it looked delicious. I know it's like the garnish, right? Is that mostly
Yeah,
what
yeah,
they
it's
put?
like pickled vegetables that are spicy usually.
Dude, you don't get this sexy figure we're not eating. So I'm just saying, like, it looked
It's
delicious.
a Chicago thing. I don't expect people to know how to pronounce it, right?
Oh yeah, but I still it looks amazing.
Yeah. But
uh, Go ahead, man. I'm sorry.
oh no, it's okay. I was just figuring out. So what I love to show from the 2018 Farm Bill, I'll show this really quick, and then I want to get back to the synthetic thing because I think that's
Yeah.
really where the big divide is here. Like
Mhm.
people have concerns about synthetics. I don't think anybody disagrees conceptually how we're approaching this topic, which is like if you look at the 2018 Farm Bill, and Miggy, this is crazy. Like if you do this tonight, or feel free to do it right now. Look up the 2018 Farm Bill and you scroll all the way to the bottom. This is literally the last thing in the 2018 Farm Bill, and it says conforming changes to the Controlled Substances Act. and it basically says except for the tetrahydrocannabinols and hemp, basically
Yeah.
THC is Schedule 1 except for the ones that come from hemp, and they are descheduled. And the way that I look at this is like, this is, if we were ever to deschedule cannabis legislatively, it would look a lot like this. Like, it would start with
Yeah.
conforming changes to the Controlled Substances Act, and basically we would just take all of this out and we'd be like, nah, THC and cannabis are not scheduled. And that's really like how I fell in love with it, like that's how it's opened up all these doors, and you can ship it across state lines and all these things. But I wanted to get back to, again, I don't think we disagree with that, because I've heard you say from the very beginning, deschedule or bust, basically, right?
I mean, it'd be nice, dude. I mean, like
It'd be
that's what
nice,
everybody
right?
wants, right? Uh, you're right. I think that's how it will look, because the only barrier right now is THC, right? Like, they're telling you up
Right.
to 0.3% is okay. Any more than that, and whoa, watch out! Like, for whatever reason, like that's the whole caveat to this dumb law,
Yeah.
stopping a fair market, the real social equity thing. Where, then again, I don't even think it'll be real social equity, because it's only people with money can play in this game still. Like, it's not we're still trying to,
And
like,
that's what I think sucks about like Illinois' cannabis system
yeah,
compared to the hemp system, Miggy, because I interviewed the Illinois Department of Agriculture, and he's the head of cannabis division as well. And he said, Cole, if you would have applied for a hemp license this morning, you'd be walking out with one when we were done with this podcast. And you can't say that about a cannabis license. And that's really what it comes down to. Yes, it's silly you have to fall into this. I'm displaying it right now, these silly barriers. So cannabis products with more than 0.3% are regulated under the state law, the cannabis CRTA, and are still federally illegal. But if you're under that, you're a descheduled commodity and you can get your license easily. But it's like, why can't, in other words, this is actually the headline of this article that I wrote a while ago. Let's take the best and leave the rest. And part of leaving the rest, I think, is that your concerns about synthetics. Um,
yeah. Well, so and
you know what
again, that
like I want to like dwell on that for a second, like
yeah.
taking the best parts, because you've pointed out like it's unfair that they can ship out of state and you guys can't. But it's like, why not take that? Like, take the best and then leave all the shit that you don't disagree with, which is like, it sounds like mainly synthetics.
Well, I think right now, and again, I don't live in your state, the farmer is always going to be localized, right? We get most of our groceries from Mexico, like produce wise. In Washington State, we have a big farm community here. On the east side, lots of grapes, obviously apples. There's something in a different place. I don't know what's in Illinois that's a big crop. Like, what's a
Bunch of stuff: soy, corn,
okay?
pumpkins.
So like stock stuff, right? That the stuff that you see in the thai soy and all that shit. But like, the whole point is, like, a lot of that stuff, the big ones, the big boys, are shipping that out of state. The little ones are staying within state, probably, like your craft, whatever, type. I'm just talking farmers. And then that would be nice if, like, but right now what we have is just your state farmers, unfortunately, right? Like, the cannabis growers here can't sell to Oregon, even though we're two legal states. I have this wild dream of going up and down the coast and just selling weed, but it's not going to work that way. Like, and that's because there's no federal shit. And I'm just trying to be realistic about what we have right now. Like, this is the present. Let me show you something real quick. I sent an email to the Illinois hemp regulator, your guys' association. Can you see?
David Lakeman.
Did I just fuck anything up?
We can see your screen.
All right, sweet.
Miguel.
All right, we're just making sure. So, like, I sent him and said, hey, I found the licenses, because I'm just trying to find the equity here, the business side of things, like how to do fair things. I'm trying to find, if I wanted to sell everything, just sell it. I can grow it. I figured out how to do that. I can process it. Their reply, they've already got with TEF. The Illinois Act does not regulate the retail sale of hemp final products to the public.
Right.
Period. Like, there's no, everybody who says there's regulation, this is the regulator right here in Illinois, at least, right? This is no, because the rule in the USDA is just that each state has to have the program if they're not going to have one. So,
but they can't, to your point, they can't regulate the retail product.
Yeah.
to your
So the
point.
consumer, and you guys right now, the consumers, who knows what you're getting?
But
Like
that's
I,
why, like,
yeah,
there's a House bill proposal, 64 now that proposes that we do regulate the retail products. So we test, we mandate testing, we mandate labeling, and it's got to be accurate. And if it's not, it would be like any other product, like this beer that I have or this Coca-Cola bottle. Not to give them free advertising, but just different brands that most people do feel comfortable with. Like if they mislabeled their product or there was a big thing that came out that hurt a lot of people, there are protocols under the Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act that you can
yeah,
take, and that's basically what this proposal would do. So it's like if you have anything that can't be in any other product and we find that it's in your product, like any other product, like a Twinkie, something like that,
yeah, yeah.
um, you that's how we would treat you. And I feel like that's a fair proposal because then it addresses those things that I feel like both of us have like some concerns about when you see sketchy products where it's like, what did you make with that? Like, what is THC 10? Like, what the fuck is
Well,
that?
then that's it. Honestly, it's on to be on the who runs the show out there? Is it the Department of Agriculture or is it the IFPDR? That's
So
There's like
yeah,
12 different agencies that have a hand in
yeah,
our cannabis industry.
fucking wild, dude.
And I think they're all not allowed to talk to each other. Isn't that right, Cole?
Wait, what?
something like that. Like it's become a little bit more clear to me. It was something like they don't have like protocols to at a certain point in time.
Mm,
They didn't have protocols to communicate with each other or something. Like we Phil and I went to a open house with the head cannabis regulator, and she literally said something to the effect of like it's illegal or something for them to communicate or
Yeah.
something like that.
that
Yeah,
is
it
so
was like
wild.
so that's why
I
they've
don't know
been
if it's because it has
proposing.
to be like part of a public record or something like that.
Right.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
But
it's
like,
just
okay.
weird. Anyways, no,
I was
you
just to
got it.
say if every state's a shit show, man. Like federally, it'd be nice, ideally deschedule, but like I think reschedule would be the best option that will help create a bigger conversation for this. But for you guys in Illinois, if they want that parity, and if the grown-ups could sit in the room and talk, it would be all right. Hemp growers in Illinois, you can only sell in Illinois. Like that's it. This is it. But then it's also fucking them because it limits their market. So what they should say is, okay, now we're going to make you part of the cannabis industry, so you're no longer hemp. Like honestly, unless you're going to grow for fucking petrol or paper, don't do it.
And that is the difference between the proposals. The proposal that I would say the cannabis industry supported was House Bill 4293, and it basically made it so that if you want to sell these products, you have to do it in dispensaries. Whereas that other bill I mentioned basically says we mandate testing, labeling, and the age gating. That's an important component of it. Making sure
Yeah,
kids can't get it. But you are not limited to dispensaries. That's the difference between those two proposals. You know what I mean?
sure. And that's probably just is it like I don't know again who's winning this. Like I'm just gonna have a store. Like lucky me, I don't have to worry about the growing side of things. But I want to consider myself almost like a steakhouse for weed, right? Like I would like to find the good growers, find the good prices. Not trying to bring this bunk, but a lot of that's bunk, and people want to. It's fine. It's fine if they want to smoke. People smoke cigarettes. We just got to figure out a way to like merge this
And that's
market.
kind of like where I come from, like with this, like we sell a lot of wild shit at the gas station, and I think the least wild shit we could sell is weed. Like
Mhm.
tested, labeled weed. You know,
But I don't think we'll get to that point. Not for until federal stuff happens, right? States are afraid to like
but
push
we are
boundaries.
at that point. That's kind of what's frustrating. Is like we are there and it's happening, and
Yeah.
what we could just do is mandate that testing and labeling, and like call it a day.
Well, it's funny you say you are there because like in Washington State before recreational legalization, there was thousands of pot shops all over, dude. Like I
Right.
would pay 250. It got to the point where we had dab bars, or or even at the pot shop, I could just like sample, real quick and not a problem. And everybody frowned upon cigarettes and shit. And then recreational happened, and they squeezed medical and then all the other stuff that people were doing liberally out the window because now you need a license for everything, right? Events, no more. Everything's still on the down low. You guys actually have events, I believe. They're even like permitted and shit. Like,
They're not permitted, but we definitely have them. I think
yeah,
there's
It's almost like they have them now because there isn't any like
right.
regulation of them.
but that's the thing, right? Eventually there will be when someone wants to like make it
Mhm.
a thing. And here we lost so much because of just the way we did it. And you know, you guys have if you have legit hemp growers, you know, they're like nobody wants to grow fucking shitty weed, right? Are these hemp people proud to say, you know, this is fire hemp? You know, I
And
think it's
that's
the
what,
dumbest thing to say full spectrum hemp. Like it's fucking weed, man. It's
yeah. I feel like
I
that
do think it's more about the retailers though in Illinois, at
mm.
least from what it seems like to me.
what
Because they can
go
do out
ahead.
of state, right?
Just no, it seems like to me like the issue is like that people can walk into smoke shops and like had to have a deli style dispensary experience.
You think that's a big issue in Illinois for people who are against
I mean,
it?
I think that's why like they want to crack down on it so much. I think they're more or less worried about like the retail storefront proliferation and
Huh.
diluting the market of the dispensaries.
I mean, that's reality, right? As long as you can keep diluting one thing with a another, you know. But it's unfortunate though because your consumer base is obviously fucking buying it, right? Like they're
Well,
scooping it
that's
up.
Well, there shouldn't be a market for it. The cannabis industry should have expanded enough where like demand is more met, and like we should be more like a state like Michigan where it's like you're silly if you're not partaking in the regulated market.
Mm. But isn't that like on the IFPDR then?
Well,
I would
it's on
say
our legislature and the governor.
Well, that's the whole thing, right? Isn't that who we should be like screaming? Like I'm not yelling at hemp growers. Like people think that we're against hemp. It's like no, it's fucking weed. We don't care. You know, like I want to smoke fire weed. I don't. You know that's the truth about the plant. You know, I'm not trying to make sales. You know, I'm not trying to. I mean, it would be great if people did it for cotton and all the other stuff that it can do for the benefit of trash in our outside. But people like money. that's that's where we're at. That's and I think you talking about like one fucking pot shop in Chicago is crazy, dude. Like the population of Chicago is like twice the size of Seattle, I believe, and we got like I don't know 15.
Well, we have like I think there's like 40 in the city, but they're all on the north side pretty much.
Oh, that's crazy. Like the bad side, is that what that is?
No, no, no. The south side would be the south side and the west sides, parts of them would be the bad sides, but
Okay.
those are the sides that don't have as many dispensaries. They're all
Huh.
on the north side because that's where like most of the money is.
Wow. Well, I mean, because you guys have $80 fucking days.
yeah.
It's fucking. I didn't say the market's fair, dude, or good.
I
I mean, it's
yeah.
gotten the pricing has gotten better, but
Yes.
but yeah, it's like, I live in like an outer neighborhood on the south side of the city, and it's one of the higher income parts of the city. I
Yeah,
don't have a dispensary within 15, 20 minutes of my house.
that's fucking harsh.
I would have to drive like 20 minutes to get to. I mean, I don't drive 20 minutes to get to anything. I never leave the neighborhood.
I got four of them just in 5 minute drive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I already know people on the YouTube comments are saying, Phil, like they're probably like, you say you don't drive 5 minutes to anything. Well, then how do you get to Michigan? Okay, of course, when we go to
Well, I
Michigan.
visit family many times a
Yeah,
year.
there you go.
But
Right.
how's he gonna get his fucking weed? Jesus Christ, leave him
Exactly.
alone.
That's what I'm saying. No, but back to one of the points you made, and it just reminded me, Miggy, of I think Phil made this point too, and what he said. I saw this in NPR today. It's an article about Texas, and it says today Texas has more than 7,000 cannabis dispensaries, almost twice as many as California. Add to that 24-hour delivery, mobile pot trucks, cannabis vending machines, and mail order cannabis.
Yeah, Texas is about to go through it, man.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Well, and again, these are just the concepts that right there, like our state at least hasn't delivered on these simple concepts, and that's why, again, if you ask, your original question was, I think, like, why not talk to the IDFPR? Why not like talk to our legislators about changing this? Like, this is kind of, I think, the angle people see where it's like, this is cannabis and this is the farm bill, and so if we codify it just like Minnesota did, you can give people the opportunity to sell cannabis in what you might call unconventional location. I call them just traditional retail channels, but we've grown to think that cannabis must be sold in a dispensary. But I always thought, I remember when Washington legalized it, actually, I'm not going to say how old I was. Um, but I remember asking one of my friends that lived in Washington at the time, I was like, so does that mean weed's like at the gas station right now? And
Hmm.
he was like, no. And I learned later that Colorado, I think, was quicker to do sales than Washington. Am I wrong in that? Like
I
legals,
think so. Like the
like
markets,
they
like both.
legalized it and then there were like dispensaries later.
Yeah, like the stores
Yeah.
open later.
So
Yeah.
that's what he said. He was like, well, he explained like, no, it's not at the gas station and like they don't even have the stores, open yet. So, but I just remember him saying that as if it was crazy. Like, no, it's not at the gas station. And it's like,
Well,
that's what I thought legalization was. Like, it would be wherever,
yes, sure,
know?
like Walmart and Fred Meyer or
Yeah,
whatever,
everywhere. I don't
Albertsons.
mean to just say gas stations, but yeah,
No, you're
everywhere.
right.
It'd
No,
be
I totally agree. Or like buy seeds. Like I can't buy
right.
seeds out here, dude. Like what the fuck? When it was medical, every pot shop had seeds.
Yeah,
Every
it's
pot
Do
funny
they
shop
in
had
sell them?
Illinois.
clones.
Do they sell them in like grow stores?
Nope.
Really? That's weird because all the Illinois shops sell like
Were
seeds
they
at
like
grocery stores.
banned?
I think I honestly I just don't think anybody's taking it upon themselves to try and push it. Right? Like
Interesting.
our fun police, in the beginning, even came after people. Okay, because again, it's kind of like Obama being the first black president.
Homegrow's
Like
not legal there, right?
exactly.
Wow. That clicked in my mind. If you could
Yeah,
Is
tell.
it?
no,
Sorry.
But is it like Illinois, where if you have a card, you can grow?
yeah. You want to be on a registry, and again, we
Right.
got these very libertarian people here that don't want to be in the registry, but like it's fine. I mean, like everybody has a driver's license, I hope, or whatever. Like there's things that people got to sign up for or whatever. You're not gonna totally uh government system type bullshit. The people were afraid, like, oh, if I go on a registry, then like if like they want to hand it over to the feds or whatever, but it's not a thing. And that's I think always when it comes to like this subject in this plant is like we always are on guard, right? Like I used to sell weed and we used to get weed before it was legal. Like there's a secret way you gotta be, which is bullshit, right? Like that's what I'm excited about being in the store because I had to be everybody's friend when I was fucking selling weed, right? Like I just want your fucking money, dude, and then leave the house. Like, I just sit and smoke with you sometimes and hang out and whatever. Now I'm gonna have like a menu and be like, all right, get the fuck out. This is how much you pay for it. We're not negotiating. Fucking that's what it is. But that's the difference between regulated and unregulated, right? Like there's like flat price points. Like why is it like it's been $10 a gram has been a decent thing for like years. Like that's these different price points where like even fucking Oregon fire weed at like $30 ounces. We're not there yet here in Washington State, but somebody's figured out how much they can do shit at a certain level. And wow, everybody should have that luxury. This is what I got for 160 here. I just picked it up today. In one of my stores that's 5 minutes away from me. Like
Looks good.
yeah, no, it's fire, dude. It's what's it called? Diesel cough. My fucking kid came in and was like, "Ooh, that smells good."
It's funny. Yeah.
But like,
Like
I'm just go ahead, man. Sorry.
No, you go ahead. You got
Oh,
it.
I'm just saying, like legalization in general, though, man. Like, what is the whole thing that we're fighting for, right? Like, what's the whole point? Like, this right
Right.
now is kind of a delay. I mean, I get it. You guys make great points because it has kind of like shown other people, right? But now we have to show them, like, look, it's the same fucking plant, like that.
Yeah, I agree.
Talking to that guy I was talking about in California, the hemp grower. I talked to another hemp grower as well. He was a distributor, and he was telling me because the big grower was like, "Nah, man, I only sell to like big companies or whatever, like Trump weed or whatever, white label shit." But I was like, "Man, if you just had a website and were to sell pounds, because people would buy pounds in Kentucky or wherever, right?" The United States Post Office has a thing what's called a white list, where you can prove you're a law-abiding company with all the right COAs. And when your package gets stopped in transit, and you can just say, "Hey, check the list," and it goes on through, right? We all know people are sending weed and shit to the mail, anyways. I know a guy doing it legally with an Instagram and a website. People are ballsies. because it's not coke.
Wasn't wasn't cookies allowing you to buy like up to a pound?
At the beginning, at
Do they?
least.
Oh, were they? And they don't do
Yeah.
it anymore?
I checked again because I wanted to show it on the podcast once with Phil, and they had like lowered the amounts. So I don't know. I could check again. But
I wonder
yeah.
why though. I wonder why with the pound limit then. You know,
I don't
it's like,
know. But you
oh,
know what's crazy is Phil, I think you actually told me there was a dispensary in
Oh, I
Michigan
sent you a picture of
advertising.
it. Yeah. There was a
Yeah.
dispensary in Michigan I was at that was advertising a half-pound deal.
see, I miss those days. That was
Because they just
medical.
ring it up. The state has said you can have as many transactions as you want.
Oh,
You
fuck
just
yeah.
have to ring up whatever the purchase limit is per transaction. And then they just say it's on you once you leave, because there's like a $500 fine if you have, I think, over 5 ounces or something like that. But there's no like, they don't have possession limit, jail penalties.
Yeah. But they loosened up the rules for the retailer, but not for the consumer. As soon as you left the door, is that the technicality?
Yeah, you can still get a ticket.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's some dumb shit. And that's the problem with the law, right? There's like this imbalance constantly, man. It's fucking. That's why I smoke a lot of weed. It's fucking so dumb, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
No. Oh yeah. Feel free to take a hit. Yeah. I mean, again, I think like we agree on these things, and one of the things that I started this paper that I was displaying earlier with is the idea that all the products we're talking about are derived, to your point, Miggy, from the same botanical plant, Cannabis sativa. They're just categorized. They're just legally categorized differently. And yeah, I don't know, man. I try to look at all the positives that have come out of it, and that's like Phil's literally drinking a drink from Cheech and Chong right now. Like
Yeah, no.
that's crazy.
I think America has to do what Illinois needs to do, and that's just limit the intake of hemp, right? All our hemp's coming from Canada, and Tom says no, it's not South Africa, China. Motherfucker, how you know? Like
Okay, so you're saying like if it was all grown within Illinois and it happened to meet the legal distinction, or even any state,
well, the market needs to
you're
merge,
just saying it
right?
shouldn't be coming from outside of the United States or something,
Yeah.
or
Well, I'm just
okay.
saying for good regulation to the inevitable, what's going to benefit the consumer, which will never happen, right? Like, there's never going to be this point where uh the understanding of the plant itself, right? Like, hemp, cannabis, the same fucking plant,
Right.
but like most people don't pay attention to shit, right? Or if you start smoking, people get trepidatious in the beginning, like, oh, I'll be a pothead and end up giving BJ's in back alley or something. I don't know, but like, it's just not that. You missed. There was. I wish you had a chance to see it out here. It was Seattle Hemp Fest, right? I mean, you guys got Hash Bash, which is pretty cool. I would like to see it myself, but like here, we took over 1.5 miles of property on the beachfront, and about 300,000 people would come and gather. Brought in tourism, a lot of like respectable hippies, but like 300,000 motherfuckers just to smoke weed was the most insane thing to do. Like just to watch. You just watch people flying in, old people, young people, whatever, and the cops in Seattle just driving through like it's nothing. And that's like what legalization should be eventually, right? It's nothing. This plant, but yet we're still going through like I got a guy who has a case in Georgia on the 16th coming up about guilty, not guilty. Cortez Curry. I'm trying to work on a video with it. So I'm working on a video called "Who is Hemp Legal For?" Right? Because I mean, in the end, like we're again, we don't care about how the hamburger's made, but like a lot of people are going to jail in between, or getting fucked with in the businesses, or pissing hot on a test when they to consume something they think's legal. Like that's too many fucked up things are happening because it's allowing the ignorance to prevail. You want to be, we just want to be law abiding citizens, right? So, but I think for Illinois presently, merging those two markets somehow, but I think it's just both one are gonna be fighting their fights. That's just sad. Hemp people are gonna be like, we're just gonna play in this little. You're the same fucking plant. Like y'all need to play at the same playground, and equally whatever to
There
say.
is an
But
interesting difference with hemp though, and I wonder what you think about this. Where it's
mm,
like with hemp, and I'm talking about if we're talking about groups, I'm not talking about like the legal distinction at this point.
mhm.
With the people in hemp, like when somebody like Curaleaf or GTI or Wana or Cookies or any of these big brands that are getting into hemp get into hemp, nobody in the hemp side is like saying like, no, you can't be in hemp. Like anybody and everybody is allowed to participate in hemp, but like you can't say the same, at least about the system in Illinois. And that kind of
Right.
gets back to your original question about like, why aren't you who do you need to talk to and why aren't you talking to them about changing the system? And I really I do just think that that's what this, like a proposal like this, and I can send a link for people that are listening and for you, to review
Yeah.
House Bill 64. It's a really short bill and it just amends the Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act and makes it so that any hemp product, as I understand it at least, that contains anything a normal food product shouldn't contain is not allowed to be sold. And if you sell it, that's illegal. And I just like the idea conceptually because it codifies, like what I said, Minnesota did,
Won't that hurt the hemp
by
growers?
districts. What do you mean?
You're saying they can't selling it's illegal in infused. Is that what you're saying?
If yeah, it would weed out those bad actors that you're talking about. Sorry, it took me a second to understand what you
No,
were
you're
asking.
good.
It would weed out people that are using bunk chemicals, because like they're not allowed to sell
Okay.
cupcakes on the shelves, so they shouldn't be allowed to sell infused cupcakes on the shelves either.
Yeah, no,
Right?
that would be a good one. But and again, I'm not trying to put anybody out of business. This is a real conversation that I just wish like if people who grew hemp and wanted to be known as like Donald Trump weed would just like admit it, man. Like I get you're just using the code words to get through, but it's still not good
It does
because
feel silly. I'll give you that.
yeah,
Like it really reminds me though of the Uber and taxi thing, where it's like nobody's doing anything
mm,
wrong necessarily, but there's like,
yeah.
the taxi driver. I don't know if you have you heard this analogy.
Not the analogy, but I'm familiar with like one
So
that
like
was
it's the
happening. Yeah.
idea that in order to be a taxi driver, you had to have a taxi medallion, which cost a lot of money, and you had to like get your car stamped and comply with all these different like regulations. And
Mm,
anyways, we cell phones come out, the iPhone gets popular, and all of a sudden somebody gets the idea like, what if I just made an app that hails people, aka Uber and Lyft,
yeah.
right? And the taxi drivers got fucking pissed because like all these places they'd set up, like people are just getting cars summoned to them and they're not having to pay this taxi medallion. And they're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like this is bullshit. I had to pay all this money to the state or the city or wherever they are. And because this has happened in a few different states from what I understand.
It's a super similar fight if you think about it. And
Yeah.
like, yeah, like I mean, I remember hearing about a cab driver in New York that killed himself because of the debt he was in that he wasn't going to be able to like pay back essentially.
No,
And
you're
it's
right.
like
Go ahead.
you're giving somebody a ride, and some could argue Ubers are sketchy. I've been in an Uber on the way to O'Hare one time, and I was like, bro, am I gonna die on the way to O'Hare?
Oh my God, Cole, I seriously almost died. Or I was almost in a bad accident in one on Halloween. Yeah.
Wow.
Really?
Ugh.
I mean, if you think
Yeah.
about it,
Damn.
hemp is Uber, right? Like you're questioning if you're whatever you're smoking,
Right?
whereas you're getting this like regulated, safe drive, to where you need to go.
And you kind of got to
Um,
trust the reviews. Like you got to do your research on your
you
Uber
know,
driver.
and you don't want to care about the goddamn how the meat's made. That's what I'm saying. Like people, you when you go to market, you like go, where were these apples made, and do I care about this ham that where what farm it was grown in? Like I don't do this about anything else but weed. Like I really do have been for a long time, always
I mean,
worried
I
about
buy
the
a
source.
cow. I buy a cow usually, or I guess it's a half a cow
Dude,
because
that's
it's a
actually
whole
pretty
cow we
smart if you
found.
if you do it. I mean,
Yeah, we found a cow. It was a bit too much.
yeah,
Half a cow.
got a big ass freezer.
Yeah,
Hell yeah.
deep freeze. Go ahead,
I
Phil.
buy my meat from a small farm in Michigan.
There you go.
And
There you
again,
go.
sourcing, right? Like I do for meat what you do for me, I do for weed. I'll
Yeah.
buy like this ounce right here. It'll last me for a little bit because I'm sharing it with my kids and shit. But like, it's all about consumption, and you know quality by your experience with it. And I just think with the hemp market, we don't know. Like you'll have an experience, and it's like the Eric Kahn shit. I mean, are you familiar with that one, Philip?
I think I've heard you talk about it.
Yeah, so like and it's not just Eric Kahn, but like all these kids. I never saw this one coming with the influencers and shit, right? Where
Mhm.
they're hustling Delta 9, right? The THC loophole thing. It's great to be the middleman online when you don't have to fucking like that's your daily, right? I guarantee you're not smoking that shit daily or whatever it is. Like if it was my go-to, yes, but like that's kind of I want to sell what I consume. That's what I always done, right? I'm not trying to like, oh yeah, I'm gonna trust this guy, or whatever. And so like with Eric Kahn, he gave it away for a prize, and this chick got sick, and other people have been getting sick just from bad like practices of like storage, because mold builds up, right? I'm not blaming the hemp itself. I'm just saying there was a lot of mishandling because there's a lot of like no checks and balances at all. No matter who says like yes, we are
And
regulated.
that happens in Michigan too. Like there's plenty of recalls. I've definitely learned like I have to seek out like certain growers. I usually get my advice from somebody named Phil. And
Right on.
yeah, anyways though, like finding small farms, that was a joke for yeah, anyways,
Oh, I thought,
for
I thought
those
Phil
who
was
don't
your
know.
guy though. At least, man. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, you guys are cool, man. Like I was saying,
Yeah,
like,
no, he's Phil. Anyways,
no, I get,
but
yeah.
yeah. So yeah, finding small places like was the key there because I had gone to plenty of like really corporate cannabis places in Michigan, that kind of just set up shop and we're just slinging trash, and it's like,
Hmm.
damn, yes, you're saving money, but you're not bringing home anything impressive. So it took a while to like weed through, and but I look at that the same way I look at restaurants. I've been to like it's pretty easy to get a food license,
Yeah.
and so I've been to restaurants where you walk in and then you just like you look at each other and you're like, and then you walk in other words you walk out, right? You don't even give them a chance. um but yeah, sometimes I've given people a chance and I've had bad experiences, and I don't know, man, it's all just about like I just again, it kind of goes back to that comic that I showed earlier by
Yeah.
Box
Yeah.
Brown. It's like we want to vote with our dollars legally, and we can't do it until everybody's on the ballot. And there might be, there's crappy people out there, so there might be some crappy people on the ballot,
Well,
but hopefully they get weeded out because people learn it's like that weed sucks or that food sucks,
yeah.
the whole
No,
natural
100%.
process.
But question to you guys though: have you guys like? I mean, obviously you drink the drinks. I've never been like a fan of edibles. Just for one, because you're forcing me to eat and drink things that like like. Uh, that's why I was talking about the RSO. Just add it to whatever you want if you want an experience. But Tom took some video in some pot shop or vape shop rather, where there was like flour and shit in bags and stuff. Have you guys bought in this flour in these stores? Have you guys tried those? Like obviously you're going to Michigan. Why aren't you trying the fucking flour in the vape
Well,
shop?
I've ordered hemp online before, like
Okay.
from like one of the websites that does it. Um, and that was actually like a fine experience. It was good stuff.
I
Yeah, what I had some uh hemp cigarettes. Fuck it's one of the bigger brands with a V. I don't know if Vance.
Viola.
I think it's Vance.
Oh,
I seen him on YouTube sponsor some shit, but like some dude, we're in circles where people want to like, hey, try this, and I was like, it wasn't bad. Like you're saying, it wasn't a bad experience, but also it's not this weed that I get in my pot shops, right? Like it was okay. I mean, like it wasn't like my producer who got a headache from the D9 stuff from the bakery. It was like I got a little high, but it was more of a quick experience. I think it wasn't the steady, this that I don't know. Maybe it just wasn't as potent or whatever. I don't know why.
yeah.
But but the point being is you guys are choosing your dollars, right? You're going to fucking Michigan. Like
Well, I,
good.
I do have I should give it, if like Sun Drenched Farms has some pretty good flour in Illinois, and it's THCA flour. It's not
Okay.
grown in Illinois, unfortunately, because they just made that. I actually have hearing mixed reactions all over the board. Like things really aren't different. I don't know. I've seen people that are continuing to grow it because, but anyways,
Well, we have CBD flower here, right? Which would technically be hemp, right? In our actual
right. I mean, yeah,
uh
there's some hemp sold, like technically speaking, in the dispensaries,
yeah.
like, and I'm not even talking about the ones we were talking about that are definitely being sold. Like, I had done some research at this one point, and one of the largest producers in Illinois attributed to something like 40% at least, which is almost half of their annual product. I think it may have been even more, but I hesitate to say more than that. It was at least 40%. It's just been a while since I researched it.
Hmm.
Was hemp. So all of their infused products, in other words, vapes and edibles, and these are products, and they sell their product or their distillate, which is from hemp, to a lot of the infusers in the state. So it's like there is hemp, in the dispensary, and so yeah, it's all that 0.3% line, man. I like
Yeah.
it's silly. But you were making the point we were choosing to vote with our dollars, and like to your point, yeah, there's not a lot of Illinois producers that I know that are selling THCA flower, but whenever I find them, I can become friends with them.
Sure. But like you guys as connoisseurs, haven't made that choice to say, okay, I'd rather just go to the gas station and go buy this flower that's available, right? Like
Right,
you're still
right.
questioning, and
There are
what's
some,
good,
and when I've gone to the gas station,
yeah.
Miggy, to your point, there are some like sketchy brands that I wouldn't buy, and that's where it's like I see sketchy shit at the gas station all the time that I wouldn't buy, like crazy. I don't need, anyways,
No, you're
crazy
good,
boner
but
pills, like stuff like that,
yeah,
that I wouldn't buy, and so like that's kind of how I look at those products. Like whoever's buying that, I don't think a lot of people are, but
but somebody is right, like somebody, or else they wouldn't have it on the
But here's
shelves.
my question, and I like to ask
Yeah.
people this: like, if you saw a Curaleaf, if you saw cookies, if you saw like a brand you knew, would you feel more comfortable?
I mean, there's already cookies out there, right, doing it. So I mean, it's not like you know, here what I was going to try and get to is in our
Yep.
markets here in the rec market, we do have CBN flower that I can buy or high CBG or high CBD, right? Like even pre rolls, we'll sell pre rolls with the concentrate, and it's part of the recreational market, right? It's that's where you're going to buy it. Uh, there is a market, and so the one thing is in our market, there's not a lot of that though, because that's not a high demand, but there is a demand, right? We kind of like shame hemp for like, oh, I don't want to. What are you, a pussy? You know what I mean? Like, you can smoke hemp, but it has a good experience with the CBG and the CBNs for your body and all the other cannabinoids, right? Like it does have a purpose. It's kind of like the whole reason of like growing hemp is just a cultivar of fucking marijuana, right? It's just weed light, right?
Yeah.
Except for maybe it has high CBG, right? But the whole thing is the grower's gonna have to worry about like, oh, I fucking better not. We can harvest it now, and not get it to its peak ripeness, for lack of a better, right? Like that. These guys are playing a game of like, okay, let's do it now. And then the other component of that is like when they're doing this testing, I don't know what the requirements are for like a crop, right? Like do I test like this one plant for a whole acre and call that good? Is that how that
Right.
works? Because like that's another part of that regulation shit. But these are things that need to get answered after they figure out what the fuck they're doing. Or maybe part of the rules that are going to be written down, like that you showed in the.
And that's why, like, I just wonder, like, if it were all just the same rules, like you
Yeah,
just mandate testing and mandate labeling and age gate it and not limit it to a dispensary. That's the difference. Like, what is the issue there? You know what I mean?
you know, do you guys know of any states that actually have age limits on CBD?
On CBD, no, but I know that like
Yeah, I don't know
Minnesota
about
has added,
specifically CBD.
Yeah, what I'm
like
saying. So, which is
Minnesota
the hemp
has the
market?
21 age on the hemp drinks.
It
They did
is
that. Minnesota.
okay. So,
And
so
that's
there is
kind
a
of what
state.
we would do. Yeah, that's what
Yeah,
we would do is like make it so because we have that option. And by the way, if the definition of hemp changes, because that's what a lot of people ask, like, well, what if they change it to where it's stricter? Or what if the Mary Miller Amendment goes through? Or what if it goes to 0.8% or whatever? Some people had floated 1%. I think I saw it on your show that
yeah, yeah.
somebody was floating like 1%. And it's like, well, then that, from what I understand, Minnesota would change to that. So if it went to 1%, since they've codified the federal, maybe they would have to make a few changes. I don't know. I'm not a legal expert, but the point is that they could, is, you know what I mean? That's,
Yeah, they'd be more set up for it.
it would, and that's how I understand House Bill 64 to be. That's why I even am saying this. Like I was told that if the federal farm bill definition changes, that House Bill 64 is flexible, that even if it gets stricter, it would go down to that. So it'd be, or if it got looser with 1%, then it would go up to that, type of thing, which is
But we're
like,
still trying to create that one market, though. You know what I mean? Like there should be a just post harvest regulation.
I agree. It should
You
just all
know,
be descheduled. It should just be descheduled. It's
ideally,
silly,
right? But
like, and
I think
that's kind of what
but
I think that proposal aims to achieve as much as it can, is treating it like it's a descheduled product that you can sell so long as you are not putting whack shit in it or selling it to people that are young,
no, that's a good way to protect the consumer. But I still think we're going to need an act of God to make real change, man. Like real joining of the two, like post regulation type thing, like the I mean, rescheduling would be ideal for a start federally because I like the idea of rescheduling because it protects the plant as a medicine, right? In every state that's gotten recreational cannabis, the medical markets have been squashed or shitted on. They, you know, what I mean, like that's people focus on the rec market. The patient is a minor component of any rec market. So like, for us, we just passed a bunch of health stuff, right? When patients can get tax free. Uh, we test our plants differently here for recreational and medical. They do more testing for medical, which is dumb because it's the same fucking consumption, right? It's a human consumption plant. So we're just getting to a bunch of things for the patients. And
What's the size of the medical market in Washington compared to the rec market?
tiny, dude. Like when you go to a
Yeah.
store, first there used to be medical compliant plant, products, and many people weren't doing that because they didn't want to go through the extra testing because it cost them more money. Period. People are going to buy their weed no matter what. They don't have to worry about patients. But then now they're just getting to, dude, patients are going to get to like 40% in tax like off. So like that's how much we mark it up. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it's
Yeah.
not fucking
Well,
cool.
that's like the one good thing about Illinois that they actually did right was if you have a med card, your taxes are like, 1.5% or something like that.
Damn. See, we don't tax medicine here. We live in freedom. One
We're
percent.
Illinois. We do not believe in freedom.
No, it's delay. Now you guys, and again, it's you have 12 different fucking agencies. Each state's different, right? We're all different little microcosms of like legislature and processes. Because once somebody figured out, hey, all these fucking hippies are enjoying a good time and not paying taxes on it, they were like, oh, here's a rule to make it legal for everybody, fair. And then when they realized the medical people we were still strong, they're like, oh, we're going to destroy the medical market because we need you to go buy the weed in our stores. Like that, it's all a fucking shell game of forcing the consumer. They don't care about you at the end, but because descheduling be ideal. But who thinks? Raise your hand if you think that's going to happen. Like come on, man, just say who in the chat.
Donald Trump being reelected was my throwing assumptions out the window. So
I think the first time was my assumption.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I that's the thing, dude. I think over the 4 years we're gonna be still. I don't think anything's gonna be moving in any direction, not unless some of these lobbyists get the right ear, right? Like everybody says RFK or whatever. I don't know, man. Cuckoo Cabana's in charge. That's all I know. It's a whole
I don't
new
know. I feel
world.
like it's just like in Illinois, like it's such a low priority for
Mm-hmm.
legislators. Like they don't really care about it. I don't think.
No, not until it affects them, right? Like I hope they all get ball cancer.
But
Even
yeah,
the
I mean,
women.
Even the women,
even though,
twice as much. It'd be extra fair.
yeah, I mean, Phil, any thoughts on the idea that I've been kind of like saying that the three pillar approach of testing, labeling, and age gating, like with regard to these products, like, do you see any holes in that? I guess, you know.
I mean, I think all they need to do is just open up the market and let whoever wants to take part take part.
Yeah.
That's ideal. But and that's the other problem too, is you got to add these barriers. Like we got this DUI limit, 5 nanograms. Probably piss 5 nanograms after not smoking for a month. Like still,
Oh, you have that same limit in Washington?
we are the first ones, baby.
Okay, because we probably took that from you guys then.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Makes perfect sense based on
Yep.
non-science, right? Just like prohibition. But
Yeah, I always say like I could wake up in the morning and go driving and probably be like not hit anything in the morning, sleep for like a good 8 hours the night before, and I'd probably be over that limit.
yeah, and the selling point was because we always have to have something to enforce, right? There's always got to be some sort of like, if you fuck up, it was the weed's fault, right? It's dumb.
Well, that's always the funny thing to me when they act like they need a weed breathalyzer is like, how have you been assessing whether or not someone is stoned for the last 50 years? Because it's always been illegal.
Yeah, no, exactly right. How have you been catching all those DUIs in the past?
Yeah, like
Right.
what breathalyzer do you use for Xanax or Vicodin or cough syrup? I don't know.
Well, and then the next argument's about workplace stuff, right? Like the drug testing and the employee rights, because like
Really quick,
oh yeah, good.
before you go to workplace, I just had a cop on the uh podcast, and it was kind of funny because that's one of the questions I asked him. He was like, "We need some sort of breathalyzer or something non-invasive to prove if people are high." And I'm like, I just asked him the question, like, if you can't tell they're high, like, are they really that high?
Right?
Like, if it comes down to like you being like, I have to take your blood, like, it's like,
Seriously,
are you really that confident? Like, I
like
don't
you
know.
can
It's
tell I'm
just
drunk. Shit.
right. I didn't mean
But
to interrupt.
No, you're
that
good.
is like the bar with like medications that people take, I think, isn't it? Unless it specifically is some kind of medicine that it says do not drive after taking this.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know.
that's all just questionable, right? You can. That's probably one of the one times I'll have to say the studies need to be done, right? Like, and the reason why we can't do them is because we still don't have no reference for different states now can do it. Hell, we can look at Canada and make a lot of studies, but we only have to look at case state by state here, and we're so different. So
Yeah. You were going to talk about
I don't
oh, go
I
ahead.
don't remember what comedian it was, but they talked about how you should be able to take a driving test like while you're high. And
hell
just
yeah,
so they could be like, oh, okay, you're good.
hell yeah, yeah. No, I was gonna say that the work shit, that's part of the legalization, right? Like we're medical, we'll have like a medical defense if it gets rescheduled. Like anything else, because most of it's because of insurance bullshit, right? Like employers, don't want you don't want to piss hot because then you insurance clause, all that bullshit. Uh, that's why I say, like, I don't know if you saw last show. I was like, hey, the rule of thumb is if you get hurt on the job and you're a smoker, don't say shit. Like
Yeah.
that's
And it's
unfortunate.
true. It is
Yeah.
true. My cousin, he was in construction and he like hit a hammer on his hand really fucking hard, like fucked his hand up. And he said it right when he did it. The boss came in. He said he just put his hand in his pocket and was like, "Yep, everything's good." Yep, like just tried to play it off because he just like
Dude.
did not want that. Um, yeah, it's fun. I always laugh whenever I see like people, prohibitionist groups like Sam and others talk about like if cannabis was involved in a car crash, or if cannabis related car crashes have gone up, right? And it's like, again, because there's these arbitrary low thresholds and cannabis stays in your system for so long, like how can you
Yeah.
actually tell, like, even if you took somebody's blood, like, and they got in a car, like maybe they hadn't smoked for 6 days but they just like smoked a lot.
Did
You know what I mean? Like,
Did you know after legal gay marriage, more legal gay men died? Just saying. It's exactly kind of like because of thing. You know what I'm saying? Like non-facts. Fucking
wait, what are you saying?
because after legal gay marriage, more legal gay men died in
No, I get
car
that,
accidents.
but I
Oh,
meant like,
I'm just saying these are non-facts, right? Will cause not effect. It's a thing because people exist and are going to
oh, I hear you
consume or
now. I
whatever.
hear
Like
you now.
people exist, pretty much. It's like that's it. Like it's
Well, and I think too, it was like people are looking for it
Yeah, there you go.
more post legalization, you know? Same thing
Right.
with like kids coming into ERs, you know, like
Mm.
I have to imagine there were kids getting into edibles during medical days.
Oh yeah.
And the parents
There was
probably didn't
never a
necessarily
story.
tell the truth because it was a big difference back then. It wasn't
Or
like,
even in the 60s, right?
yeah.
Like none of this shit's new. Like
Oh
things,
yeah.
all the movie references and whatnot, pop culture with kids and whatnot, like before.
Yeah. Well, and then again, to your broader point that you just made, like uh to say that more the stone to driving rate went up, it's like, well, if you consume cannabis, and we all generally accept that cannabis stays in your system for 30 days, like how can you say this the quote stone to driving, like you're just saying like somebody had cannabis in their system.
That's
Like I
it.
feel like, like
Yeah. It's like,
so, but anyways, that was a little brief little tangent. Yeah, I mean, all those issues exist and they suck, but like, again, just I don't know. I think really what it is I am like admittedly being idealistic. Like I think that's like what I am being right now because I like this idea. I like this idea of an open market and I want to like codify it. And I know it sounds big and I know it sounds like ambitious and especially with how things look in Illinois with like a big controlled market, but like that's just like what I want to happen. And I know that,
The
like Phil
the re
said,
the realist in me thinks Pritzker is going to come out like any day with an executive order to ban the stuff.
I
yeah.
agree because he
Yeah.
basically said he was looking into whatever he can do. And
Well, and they
people,
upheld, I think they upheld the one that Gavin Newsom did in California.
right? So it's like, why not? Let it rip. That's what
All
I
right, cool.
feel it could happen.
This is your moment, Cole. You're gonna be Drake or Kendrick. You're gonna bring hemp and cannabis together, right? You need to get them on stage. Like
Yes,
we need to figure out this rule together so we can tell JB this is what we want. Like if you can just get all these b-holes into the same room, right? Like
but to your point, yeah, they don't all
Now, if you
agree.
got them all in the same room, it'd be like that Democratic caucus meeting. There'd be people leaving in tears.
I
Yeah,
just and that's the thing. I don't think there's a mutual conversation going on still. And you guys have actual Illinois farmers, growers, right? Like here, the hemp industry, I believe, actually grows for other cannabinoids and whatnot, but not to be part of the rec market, right? They're doing their own thing. But your guys are selling locally too, right?
yeah. At least the ones that I've worked with
And that's
or
cool.
bought from, I mean to say, whenever I try their product. But again, though, actually, I mentioned one earlier that, like, from what I understand, the flower is grown in California, like,
Hmm.
admittedly hand selected from California, something to that extent. I might be butchering that a bit because I'm high, but
That But would you guys think that they're also playing like at least with the folks that are doing flower? Like once you do the drinks and edibles, the THC is going to pretty much be consistent. But like with the flower, do you think these guys are playing like a COA shell game?
well, and that kind of goes back to your one of your original questions. You were like, why are there drinks? Why are there gummies? I think it's easier to stay within that threshold, especially when you look at that graphic we displayed earlier.
Yeah,
And I can display it for people that are tuning in live just because I have it. But I think it's just easier to stay. And to your point, I think that it's harder to make flour stay compliant because especially like THCA flour, which it's interesting to hear like Boris Jordan from Curaleaf say that they were going to start. It's like an MSO, from
yeah,
um,
no,
in
hundred
all these
percent.
states. They were going to start selling THCA flour because, like, it is to your point. From what I understand, harder to stay compliant because even if the flour gets like literally hot, like let's say you leave it in a vehicle,
Yeah,
just that decarbing the flour would make it.
Well, and I think he specifically said they were doing like pre rolls, right?
Yes. So
Which
maybe,
it's like
yeah.
super, you're grinding up that weed, it's aerating. Like
right.
I don't know how they would keep that under that threshold.
Right, but this, the with the gummies and the drinks, I think it's just easy to put a little bit of THC in there, quote unquote. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah. Well, a more stable compound or whatever you want to say, but here in this instance, the farmer's the winner, right? Because as long as they can sell their pounds, God bless them. You made your money. Now the guy who's carrying it to Kentucky, Tennessee for processing, wherever it gets processed at, Doesn't get pulled over. He made it. Shay, they, whoever. And then, the process is done, wherever it's at. I haven't heard of any facilities being raided, right? Have you guys never
Well,
In
they're actually,
Illinois?
yeah. I mean, I've heard
anywhere?
of one. I'm
I
hoping
mean,
that,
there was a guy in Illinois that had SWAT raid his house over 9 plants.
No. There should be more of that out there.
It was like 2 years ago.
are you talking about the guy that came on my podcast or somebody else?
No, it was a different guy. But that guy that was on the podcast was also insane because he had a med card and they charged him with like possessing 100 grams or something, didn't they?
Yeah, something like that, which is insane
Did
because
that
you're
go
so,
through?
huh?
Did the case go through or did it get dropped?
I think
I
he
don't know.
did, but we were never able to pin down. Like it just seemed like he might have had a really bad lawyer.
Oh,
Yeah,
fuck.
honestly, like, no diss, but
Because
it
it
seemed
just
like
made,
the lawyer
yeah,
just didn't understand the law because he
truly.
what was crazy was is that like they auctioned off his equipment, like his growing
Fuck.
equipment. Like he literally saw it on his way outside of the courthouse.
No.
He could see his grow light and his rosin press and shit that they stole from him basically, and
Yeah.
they're making money off of that. And he was allowed to have that stuff. I mean, he's got his medical card. Why couldn't? But anyway, that's kind of a
No, no,
separate.
that's again part of the whole this legalization bullshit, right? Where even patients are getting fucked with. Like it doesn't
Yeah,
protect anybody until there's some sort of like federal guidance for these buttholes, right? Because as long as like
yeah.
it's state level, the state argument I always hated, man. Like state rights bullshit. It's like everybody should have rights. This is America.
That's kind of what's particularly crazy though about that story that I mentioned earlier, what you saw on YouTube with the guy that had the federally legal cannabis. Look, it like you said, it's obviously we call it hemp, but we all know what it is, right? And it's just using people call it a loophole. Like, I mean, I guess you can call it that. I feel like what we're doing at the state level is also a loophole since again it's
Yeah.
federally illegal.
No, it is.
But but the hemp, like they can't it's just crazy to see, like Phil said earlier, law enforcement try to deal with this issue because legally, like if you just read the law clearly and if it fits that definition, they can't do anything about it. And it's just amazing. And I just want to see that like extended. And I know that's ambitious. I think one of the things I thought you were going to say this earlier, Phil. I don't think we're going to get away without taxing it. Again, I've been like not saying that the whole time. I've been saying it not because I don't believe it should be taxed. I mean, I don't, but I actually think you would give localities more room if you didn't set a state level tax. Like I feel like localities might be dissuaded from adding local taxes because the Illinois taxes are already too high. So like they're
Mm.
like, shit, I don't want people to not buy weed in my, town or whatever just because I want to get a little bit more tax money. So what I'm saying is, if you don't add those taxes, I feel like then, yeah, if your city wants to tax it more type of thing. But again, I know, ambitious. The state's going to get their way.
Yeah, this is Illinois.
Yeah, this is Illinois. I know. I know.
I don't even
But
think it's Illinois specific. I think every state's fucked up. It's just we here. I have an advantage. I hate to say it, but I got better than you guys. Like I have it so much better than most people. You know what I mean? I get
Mhm.
4 pot shops. Bam, we're weed. I got a little bit of whiskey. No cops coming to my door. I don't got about worry about. I fucking smoke and the sheriff will pass me. I don't even my ass won't even pucker no more. It's such a non thing here that that if you're a responsible adult, you live, and the unfortunate part though is like, say if I didn't live my life the way I did with like my employment and shit, because that's still at risk no matter what, being an advocate, talking and all this shit. Fucking, this is the dumbest thing anybody could ever do, but it's also such an important
right.
issue. I'm so serious, dude. Fucking, I don't care about working or being a grown up no more. I'll just fucking, what up, employer?
Yeah,
You know
exactly.
what I mean, though. But they do know because I've been doing this for such a long time that this company that I'm working at, when I first started working there, you ever see that the cut video,
Cup
the
video.
cut video cut. So cut is a studio on YouTube. It's a channel, whatever. The cut they
Mhm.
did the dabbing grandmas,
Hmm.
and so like I was on their people who guess who teachers have to guess who's high, and
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I thought you said dabbing grandmas.
No,
Okay.
they did that. That was the first one. That was them that made that video.
Okay.
So I'm on there. I did their thing, and the first day it got like 7 million views or some shit like that. Something insane. This is the other thing about like how I know the algorithm's all fucked up in shadow ban. 7 million views on the first day, and it didn't touch the front page of YouTube. Like all the YouTube front pages were like other shit of like way less views. I'm like, oh my god, how am I not like that'd have been awesome? But like, so shit. Excuse me. Trying to remember what I was the whole my employment. So like this was like within the first year I got this job. It's been working. I've been there 9 years now, coming up. And I did this video, and then I get an email from some rando in my company. It says, "Hey, is this you in the video?" And with the link to the video, and I was like, "Holy fuck!" First off, how the fuck you know what I look like? Because like I work alone in a lab. I run a cal lab by myself, and so like there's not many pictures of me out there. So whatever, but like real butt puckering, like, oh shit, people in my company now know like I'm the weed guy, but I'm not really the weed guy because I used to be the weed guy when I sold it, but now I'm just the weed guy. Like, don't go to jail, please, or leave us, let us grow. So many other things to say, but that's still a thing though. It won't change until something federally happens.
Yeah.
I don't think. Yeah.
I feel you. Somebody, I just thought this was interesting, Phil. Somebody commented and said Graysville, Illinois, on the Indiana border, adds an extra 50% in total taxes. Township by me adds an extra 18% for the city with every purchase. This is how cannabis. So
Damn.
maybe that's an example of me, at least an anecdotal example of me being wrong, because obviously that's nothing stopping them from adding their taxes. I think Chicago has like an extra tax. I just was trying to make the point that they might be dissuaded, but that is a good point. And where, damn, if they add 50% and an extra 18, I'm like, holy shit,
Oh,
that's
if
a
their
lot of
Well, I
border
tax.
think you were limited to 3%.
That's what I
In
thought
each
too,
of
but
them.
I was like, damn,
Yeah,
for
they
the
might be
town.
they might be mistaken.
maybe they're adding altogether. I don't know. I'm high. I just
Hmm.
wanted to make sure to read it because I found it interesting. Sorry, Maggie. Were you
No,
about to
you're
say
good,
something?
man. No, I totally forget. Oh, I was just saying, like, if it was a border store, like they're saying, and they're pulling in that sweet, sweet traffic, they probably waited,
That's kind of what I was thinking too.
you
Yeah, you
know.
kind of add it up a little as much as you can,
Yeah, I mean,
run
like,
that cross border traffic.
it's a crazy how people don't see that, right? Like, all these border stores doing so well. The best place to own a pot shop is in the border of Texas right now.
I mean, and what is it called in Michigan right now? I mean, even
New Buffalo.
the head of CBAI said, all the Illinoisans are going to New Buffalo
Damn,
because it's only
interesting.
an hour away from Chicago.
It's 55 minutes from my house.
Oh wow,
Yeah, I shouldn't say it's an hour away from Chicago. I'm not from there, and I don't know.
They're
Sometimes I say
supposed they're
I'm in
supposed to
Chicago.
have they're supposed to have like 30 dispensaries.
In
Jesus,
New Buffalo.
Hmm.
Yeah,
I think they got like 35 applications, and then they were like, "We can't take any more."
wow.
that's
And
pretty
that
nuts.
hopefully that changes, right? These towns are capping off, and this is what regulation is. Slowly, I mean, like I like Cole's dream where everybody gets to play, and that's my dream too, right? Like fairly, I want to be able, like that's why I sent that email to the hemp regulators, right? Because that's how I want to see America is where it's like, hey, if I wanted to do this, I can apply for the proper licensing, get approved, find a location, uh, get it properly built out, get that approved, and then open the doors. Right, like that's the American dream. If I want to be a liquor store, if I want to be a clothing store, why not a pot shop? But like, and there is none of that, even with the hemp one with you guys, right?
Well,
It's
you
the
can though. That's kind of what
well,
they
that's
were
the thing.
saying.
Anything can do it. There's but
Yeah.
it's not even the star of the show, right? It's many part of the products, right? With the vape shops, I don't know. You tell me if I'm wrong, but is that like primary what they're selling, hemp products, or is there like bongs and what I'm saying? What is their main, uh, I guess throughput
It
for?
depends. I'm gonna have somebody on the show soon that works in a smoke shop, and they told me that they're gonna calculate their sales data, but they think again, we'll see the data, that they make most of their sales on these new hemp products, and
Damn.
And a lot of people do come in and they're like, they told, I don't mean to spoil it, but they were saying that like people will come in and be like, you selling that fake bullshit? And they'll be like, is this fake? They'll like open it up. Is this
Yeah.
fake? And they'll be like, God damn. And they'll smell it and then they'll buy some, you
Okay.
know? But that is also not true of everywhere. Again, I'll like, that is
Well,
not true
I
of
would say, yeah, it
everywhere.
probably varies because this isn't like some like, there's smoke shops in my area that I know that have been around longer than 5 or 6 years. So
Right.
hmm.
some of them
And
might have a
again,
little more stable of a business model.
But
yeah,
like,
there's some
okay.
sketchy ones too. I didn't mean to, but go.
Oh
I've
no, I'll just
seen
say.
sketchy ones where it's like I would not buy that. You
So
know.
the new guys popping up though, like you're saying, like people are popping up because as per that email, there is no license, regulatory license for this hemp
Well, you
selling.
get your hemp license so that you can, like,
Be a processor or be a grower. That's all that
yeah,
is.
yeah,
But like I could open up a store tomorrow with like get like a city business permit
right,
and just pull in all the hemp products I want and just
right.
because that's what I'm saying. The point being is like you're talking about how that one vape is making most of their income off of that. You're essentially a pot shop now, right? Like, isn't that what the whole thing is to have this regulated market, anyways? I mean, I get the snubbing to the nose of the cops, like fuck them for like destroying anybody's lives and
Well,
detaining.
well, and also like fuck the over regulation of like,
Yeah.
you guys like, I just the stuff that you have to go through to set up your dispensary, like it should be less than what it is.
Oh, for sure.
Right.
Like
But
that should be like part of it.
You should
yeah,
only have to do what they have to do. I believe.
what's funny though?
You know.
That fucked up in this. So like going through, having knowing Tom and seeing the regulations, there is a lot of like because you guys regulated cannabis as medicine first for us. We didn't have any sort of regulation. We had you call up the doctors and you verify that that person's a patient that visited you, and then now you have access to this amazing fucking selection of homegrown weed from various people. It was amazing. But like you guys had like a structure of like people who had to be in business to sell it to the stores, and they were being their tax and all that shit. And then that was also being tested. Ours wasn't even being tested. Again, I could have just opened a store. They were selling clones and seeds. So if I were to bought one of those clones, start growing, sell my own flower, and that was another way that these stores were getting their flower was by home grows, right? People bringing in flower and say, "Hey, I just grew 20 pounds. How much?" And the store will resell it, almost like a consignment thing. So like that was amazing. Um, and then the rec market is still uh, good, but we don't have this hemp competition. And I think though it's because we have the good growers who participated in
Yeah.
what they're doing. You guys
Yeah.
can have that too if they just figure out how to merge these present growers because that's what you need. You need the store, the license store to say this is good weed, or at least weed that if something happens, we can backtrack. If you buy some shit at the gas station and you get a tummy ache, I mean, you're gonna look at it. You're gonna call the company. You're not gonna get whatever 1-800 number for whoever. Uh, you know, who knows if you can get someone that you can hold accountable. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. No, I get that point. That's why I like a proposal like House Bill 64 because it would kind of add that accountability and to your point, like even with cannabis and today, like we don't have recalls in Illinois. I know that might be different because again, I just said earlier in the episode, Michigan does recalls, but Illinois
Mm,
does not publicize at least the recall data.
mm.
They may do it, but they don't.
Well, no, it's like a dispensary and a grower have their own protocols for recalls. Like if the
Yeah.
grower finds they have a contaminated product, they contact the dispensary, then that dispensary is responsible for whatever they said is like their process for doing it. But the problem with that is that dispensaries are also barred from storing customers' personal information unless they like opt in to some kind of like loyalty program. So
Okay.
it's like you're counting on someone coming back into the store in a timely manner to see some sign you've put up or that they've opted into this loyalty program whereby you can contact them. It's like they should be doing public recalls.
That should be organized definitely by like they have to put it into a registry or something, right? Like they're the ones that need to be regulated when it comes to like that kind of messaging, right?
Well, you just make it public information because then it
Yeah.
shames the companies too.
Yeah,
But
like I remember I did and I'll let you go ahead, Miggy. I'll pull it up, a FOIA request one time of testing results that it was a really hard time to get these results, and they ended up basically providing me nothing. I asked for like,
but
you
like
know,
you guys
go
have so
ahead.
many agencies involved in this regulation part, right? Like,
Well, this is the thing. I found out which one there was, or it was, and they were denying me this data, this access, because the law protects um, this data, not only
hmm,
recall data, but if they go through this process, they can protect their own data. So I did find, though, um, some records where I'm just because this is a while ago sharing my screen where people did have like an unsecured door or they failed offsite video, simple things. Somebody did apply pesticides after the vegetative stage, so
hmm,
in flower. They got fined, looks like 50, 60, $65,000 for that.
damn.
Um, and this is the thing. I think this stuff should not totally, because some of these are punitive, like again, it's kind of the point that some of these regulations are stupid.
Yeah, no.
I think they should apply to hemp, but anyways, yeah, all that data is protected, and
Well,
um,
back to the fairness thing though, as far as like the cost, and the how we all should be on the same page. And again, this goes to the point of like the vape shops and the gas station places that are selling the locations, right? Because I'm about to have a store, right?
yeah,
Sure, it's in my self interest to want all the stores, but it makes sense in the sense of protections for the consumer where I'm going to only be putting in the regulated Illinois cannabis in my stores, right? Like all my sourcing is going to come from the store. Um, but before that weed even gets to you, I have to find a location. So like in that regulation that I'm going to have to about to meet, there's like the security requirements, right?
yep,
This is why it's not cheap to get into this game at this regulated type level. Washington State, they were able to if you can find a license and then open a store and all, you don't have to meet all the security requirements and shit like that. Tom thinks all these states are the same. Illinois has the most stringent when it comes to like this thick ass like requirements. And it's
right,
funny is a lot of those actually make sense and are kind of like preventive maintenance when it comes to like all the break-ins, right? Like putting up good security cameras and all this shit. A lot of people don't take that in consideration when they do their stores, and so when they are getting broken or whatever happens, there's that's it. Good luck. But like, it sucks that there's so much requirement, right? Like, I wish I could just like open a store at my house, right? But then again, you also invite trouble. You're dealing with people, however you want to do this. But you know, I used to sell weed. I used to travel to people's houses. I mean, that'd be a great way, but that's also not enough to like make Cabo money, right? Like the whole point of being in a business is like it's going to be a machine that's going to run itself. Uh, at least that's how I see it right now. Because when I used to sell, I mean, I would carry packs or whatever and just try and meet a goal. Like, I just made enough for rent, or I made enough for rent and gas this week. Sweet, Domino's. But now I want to like make enough to pay a mortgage and feed the family and pay the staff. This is like, did you guys see that video of that guy in New York who's talking about how he makes 800K in profit a month?
no,
So this is like guy now. He's like, I went from prison and now he's like bragging about it. I highly suspect the profits. I think it's more of like a look at me, I'm making money because you're making that kind of money. You don't have to be on no show, right? You just working on a store, right? That's business,
sure.
dude. I don't. This is the last thing I want is people to know my face if I'm pulling in some change. You know what I mean? But like, it's fine though now. Like that's how I got here too.
Right.
Like it's weird that I'm gonna be the best motherfucking salesman up in there. Like once we get this shit going on, too, I'm gonna have so much transparency with the market and what's for the consumers and thing. But again, we're also gonna be a pecking, So from what I heard, it's not it's the south side of Chicago, right? Like it's not the best side or whatever. I don't know.
You
It looks
guys
like a
are you
lovely.
guys are in Pekin?
Well, that's what it looks like. We're going to be getting the. It looks like a lovely town to me. It looks like a historic, like
Yeah,
old.
I think I've been through. I was just asking. I thought you guys were going to be in Peoria, so that's why I was
Well, it's
asking.
like county and
Oh, right, right. Yeah,
zoning
the
shit. So we're just trying to find where the property we can find, and they actually are working with us. They're talking like legit.
good.
Have the city saying, "Hey, please come to us. We want to help you succeed, and I want to make Pecking great again." I'm just saying, it's like,
I mean, it seems like the businesses are good enough revenue wise for the local communities that Cole and I went to a community meeting for a dispensary where every resident that stood up was against the thing and they still approved it.
shit. But I don't know why people are NIMBYs on weed. We used to be like that here with medical, and they put all the pot shops in like all the industrial areas and all the shitty bad neighbor made them better, made them all better. Because the owners or the owners reinvested in their area. Uh, Bunch of potheads aren't all the crazy motherfuckers you think it is, right? It's not like owning a bar. So
Right.
much safer.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I just think that like, yeah, it all comes down to just like I honestly think the dispensary system is kind of like it's like this recognition that cannabis is a Schedule 1 drug, and like I just like it seems like we're like treating it like it's a controlled substance. And right now it is. Look, it
Yeah,
is. Like that's the reality, right? Or at least parts of it is. I'm saying cannabis. It's like you got
yeah,
marijuana that's part of the Controlled Substances Act, and then you've got hemp, right?
yeah.
And I don't know, man. Like Phil said earlier, it just kind of upended everything.
Yo, you guys have a great point. It did shake the britches of like understanding for like the normies. I guess would be the best way to put it. But the thing is, now you got to get the normies understand that's the same plant, and that if they want real protection and employment rights and all the other shit, there needs to be federal action on this thing, or else you can still lose your job, lose your kids, lose your life, lose your time. This so it's the most awesome, depressing subject in the world.
Yeah. Phil, you have anything to add? Just giving space or Miggy.
Well, I was just going to say that I do hope that even if they do some executive order and ban all this stuff right away, that they can find some compromise to make, you know,
Yeah,
cannabis drinks at least available at the liquor store.
Yeah, I feel
Because
like
that's like, just if, speaking of like harm reduction efforts on society, like, I think that's like a minimum effort we can do.
oh yeah, it'd be great. You guys see that some company out there, investor group, saying that alcohol is going to be hurting because they're going to be putting warning labels, like cancer warning labels on alcohol or whatever. And they do that. The whole thing is like people still smoke cigarettes. People are
I
still,
was about to say, yeah, I
yeah,
think there's a state
Yeah,
that
I also don't believe like I alcohol sales may be down a bit, but like I feel like it's kind of like cannabis where like like coffee, I think is probably similar. It's like 80% of it is bought by like a small portion of the users who use a ton.
yeah, yeah. Or was it like Canada? There was a report that just came out that people don't smoke more, like for employment or whatever. It's like, yeah, no shit. Like I smoke just the same before legalization than I do now. I just have more access to it. It's better, you know.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
If
man.
anything, if anything, I might smoke a little less because it takes less.
That's the true story though. You can buy some good quality weed. Problem is, if I find some really good, oh my god, I breathe it like air. I'll go through a quarter in like 2 3 days, and I'm sad just because it felt so good.
Yeah, it is nice to be at a point where you are having weed where it's like, oh, this is just fun to smoke.
Yes,
This just tastes good.
yeah, no, I like this as an experience, and I hope it happens again. Because that's the thing. Once you smoke it, that's done. No more, no more of that plant, baby.
straight up, straight up. Yeah, yeah. Well, it sounds like at the end of the day we have similar goals. We agree that like the hemp distinction is silly, and you get where we're coming from, where it's like we understand that it's silly, but if that's what we got to do in the name of progress to get like a little bit of, like, think about it, like again, not to keep bringing this guy up, but he basically, one of his, I guess his hypothesis, I don't know if it's true yet or not, right? Because it remains to be seen. But sorry, I didn't mean to start with that point. What he said was is that drinks just didn't even, they weren't good before hemp beverages came out, right?
Hmm.
Like, if you think about cannabis beverages at the dispensary, they just kind of sucked for a long time. Like, and his point is that like when it has been released on the scale that it's released at, that people have just gotten like better at emulsifying it or
Yeah,
making it shelf stable, and like that's cool, you know. And like Phil said, I hope that we don't like lose that scale, if you will, like the ability to get it at least a liquor store, you know, like that's really what it comes down to. Like, if people want to get more stringent about the flower testing, I agree with that. It would suck if it's coming from out of the nation and like, or wherever, and has like heavy metals in it and shit. Like, yeah, that's bad, you
yeah,
know. But I definitely think there's got to be a way to like require testing on this stuff and just continue to allow it to be sold if it's safe, you know.
100%. No, I think you
And by
guys are
this
right.
stuff, I mean all cannabis, not just hemp, you know,
Yeah,
like just cannabis in general.
same plant.
Exactly, because it is.
Oh yeah.
It is. Well, dude, thanks for joining us for a long conversation. Thanks to the people that joined live. We had some people commenting, so that's cool.
Oh yeah.
And would love to have you on again anytime. Cannabis legalization news. We'll have that in the show notes by the time that you watch this, and check it out live every Sunday. And you drop videos from time to time. You said you're dropping a new video soon, right?
Yeah,
So
I'm working on one. I'm just questioning who's hemp legal for, and I really just think it's legal for the growers who are doing it right. Right? Like, there's some dude out there. Fuck yeah, dude, make your bag. Because I used to sell your weed anyways back in the day, and I didn't even have a COA back then. Right? But
right,
like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, I'd smoke it and be like, all right, I'm buying a quarter pound of this or whatever money I had.
right.
But like, yeah, yeah. So like, that's I'm really pondering that because there's been all the lawsuits with the guy who popped hot as a trucker. Dealing with Cortez Curry, who was raided in Georgia. You can find him on Facebook. He's got a trial coming up in 4 days, 3 days. Shit, dude, editing's hard. Fucking,
Oh yeah,
especially trying to kind of like a concept of a video. Like, I'm trying not to berate the the hemp industry. I'm just trying to like berate the situation where it's like, you know, good on you for the growers doing it. People willing to risk shipping it and saying, all right. But then there's also people going to get ripped off, right? Like, people probably buying the hemp stuff and selling it as weed to their guy, whatever. You know, it's a thing probably going on, dude. I know I
oh,
would
it
have done
is for
it.
sure.
Dude,
Like
I'm just
Miggy, you know
saying.
what people do is they just like sell weed and they just put a THCA sticker on it. It's like, no question, officer. Like they don't have anything at this point
Yeah,
to distinguish, so they're just like doing it. You know, it's all
until
about
they
knowing your
take
grower,
yours.
though, just like back in the day.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, there's. I mean, that's where the big pond. I mean, look here, check this out. I'm going to show you real quick. I don't know. Have you read the fucking actual like the law?
the hemp law.
Yeah. So like, here's the. So you go to USDA, right?
Hmm.
And then USDA published final rule. It takes you to the Federal Registry. This is funny. So this rule is issued. So they say how this is the final rule. There's an interim effective this date. This is final replaces. So like, they are the law when it comes to hemp, right? This motherfucker is. So I'm reading it right now. I got to like that part, got out of breath. Still got like 60 pages. So like, the actual law is long, is my point being. And no one knows really. Like, I just want to go to McDonald's and buy my damn cheeseburger. I get it. Like, but I'm trying to make a really good cheeseburger right now. You know what I mean? Like, we get slop. I'm tired of getting slop. At least you got slop. I got some pretty good.
No, man, I'd like to think I'm smoking on some good weed. It just happens to be from Michigan.
Oh my god! See, my points are already made by you guys going to Michigan. But you know what? You guys should do that though. Go to the fucking gas station, try the flower, put your lungs at risk.
Yeah.
I would. I just usually have so much weed in the house I can't justify it.
Yeah. Like I said, I gave a shout out earlier. I've met a few people that have good THCA flower, and it's out there. But yeah, to your point, it's not at the gas station, unfortunately. What you'll see at the gas station is like the drinks usually.
Mm.
You
I
know.
do say we got to stop ragging on gas stations and implying that gas station anything is of lesser quality. We all go to the gas station.
Right next to the boner pills. That's the problem, though. It's gonna be right next to the boner pills in the kratom.
I like that, Phil. We all go to the gas station. That was a very unifying message.
Well, it's just funny in all this hemp talk. Everyone's like, this gas station weed, and you hear it like all the time, like in press releases and stuff. And I'm just
Yeah.
like, why we all got to rag on the gas stations so much?
Yeah, yeah.
You ever have gas station hot dogs? They're amazing.
You
Seriously though,
know,
yeah.
when I was younger with friends, we did used to walk over to a speedway that was near their house because it was like the only like it'd be open at like 3 in the morning and you could get like the little taquitos like
Oh my god.
rotating on the little things. Ugh.
Hell yeah. Fine cuisine.
Casey's Pizza. You come to Illinois, Miggy, we gotta go buy a Casey's Pizza. Get some gas station pizza.
Dude, it's gonna be
Now,
sooner
now
or
that I
later.
think of it, I had a gas station slice of pizza literally yesterday.
Well,
Also,
'Cause there's a home run in stand, or no, no,
okay.
no, it's a Beggar's Pizza, which is a like decent Chicago chain. They
Yeah.
have like a little stand at this gas station that I stopped at.
nice. But also,
So
if you
see, gas station pizza can be good. So maybe gas station weed is like,
might be okay. Again, Walmart weed, whatever you want to call it, man. It's like we all have our. I will call the hemp the McDonald's weed right now. That's it. It's just it. They haven't been able to grow.
let's call it the checkers weed or
Shut up.
the rallies weed.
Rallies.
It's a step down from McDonald's even maybe.
I like rallies, dude. I feel disgusting now. Rallies in the White Castle. You guys have White Castle up there?
Oh yeah.
I tried to go to a White Castle in Michigan. Sorry, this is just a short fun I thought funny story. And it had like the AI or it was supposed to be AI like ordering system. Like there was not a human is the point. And it
Wow.
was like, "Hello, welcome to," and I'm just like, I want this. Like I said the number and it was like, "I'm sorry." Like it just kept saying, "I'm sorry." And I just like pulled away.
That's fucked up.
Yeah. So I was gonna try White Castle, but they fucked me with that. I couldn't even place my order. I just wanted to stay in the car. I didn't want to get out of the car. You know.
You're not missing out. I mean, they're okay. Tiny little burgers. Like
Yeah.
30 of them can make you a meal.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Somebody
Yeah.
said no, McDonald's is a step down from food. Period. Worst fast food ever.
It is diarrhea.
Somebody else said Casey's is good pizza. It's
Right on.
actually decent pizza, and I stand by that. It's good pizza, and they're known for their pizza, and they're a gas station. So,
Nice.
anyways, that's just I'm just trying to be funny. Cool, man. Well, again, thank you for sitting down with us tonight. Again, folks, cannabis legalization news. You already knew it from the title, and you're probably already aware of Miggy. I wanted to just say, man, I've been a fan of you since you started your show. Been a friend of yours. I'd like to think for a while now. So just keep doing what you do. Like, I love the work that you guys put out. It's always an interesting show, and I like that you display my comments whenever I get the chance to tune in live.
I appreciate you, man. You're a homie, dude. It was nice
Yeah.
meeting you, Phil.
Yeah, it was nice meeting you too.
Thanks for watching this, dude. That's so cool. So glad.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I
Yeah,
mentioned that, Phil,
any
that
Sunday that I'm home at 3, I usually have you guys know.
It's really what do you call it? Like Inception, dude. Like the when I go down like the MJ Biz and shit, whatever, and people know you, you're just like, I mean, it's always been like that because I mean, anybody talks about weed, and I really think it's so much to do about nothing, right? Like the advocacy shit, like more people should do it. I mean, if you fucking smoke, just cover your ass.
Yeah.
Why are you not?
Somebody named Bong K, not surprising they're tuning in, says, "Thank you for all you do, Miggy." And I'm not making fun of that person's username. I just thought it
Right
was
on.
very appropriate, for the show. But yeah, to that point, man, you're like part of Sunday football, if you will. Like I know Sundays is cannabis legalization news day. So
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah,
Thanks again.
hell yeah. Someone said Miggy 420 can't wait to make the trip to visit you at your spot. Apparently, somebody that knows you is tuned in. So he
Sweet.
said best of luck to you. So
Right on.
oh, they're saying that they're gonna visit you at your Illinois spot. That's cool. So they're
Oh
saying
yeah, dude.
out and support
We
you. So
well, we're getting there. I mean,
You just thought they meant to show up at his house.
yeah, like I was like maybe they know him.
no, it's cool, man. But the story, and I can't wait. Just I really want to be a part of a city, right? Like that's the aspect of business that I am looking forward to. As far as like, I mean, everybody talks about the revenue, which would be cool, man. Like, yeah, I can finally
Sure.
like not work for a living, but I'll still be working because the work is going to be making the thing better by just being a part of the city, right? Being an asset. Like if uh, happy employees, happy locals, programs, whatever. I'll be living up there probably for like 6 months or so in the
Nice.
beginning.
I was about to
Yeah,
ask, are you gonna be
yeah.
working remotely?
No, dude, when your ass
That'd
is
be
on the
cool.
line, you fucking
Yeah.
go.
Hell yeah.
Like
Gotta
I have
get in
legit
there.
given up everything once this thing gets up. Like this is do or die, baby. Like if the store don't make it, I'll be on the fucking corners. I'm not coming home. My wife will not see me. It's like I gotta, like start hustling on the corner. Like, but like that's the thing though. It's like I think it'll be solid because, like I said, the city's working with us. There's a lot of benefits to it. The hemp thing sucks because that does. If people want to go get the Walmart weed, it's fine. But like the consumer should know, like, look, I am going to go to these farms. I am going to talk to the people and experience the plants and the grows and say, okay, if I'm selling your weed, show me. Let's hang out. Show me your fertilizer. Show me, I just want to know. I want to smoke your shit. And then if it's bad, you're like, man, I really can't sell you. Or if they pay me a lot of money, yeah, buy that guy. But like, that's a part of the business, guy. It's not the my friend. It's not my weed I want to prefer. I'll have my top shelf somewhere, but like, that's part of business though. I'm gonna have to like but they'll be part of the Illinois market, right? They'll be part of the Illinois regulated. That's what I'm talking about. Like, there's no more me sitting on a couch and trying to negotiate like a quarter pound.
Yeah.
Now I'm just be like, okay, so that's how much 20 pounds is. And the fact that I can talk about 20 pounds is pretty fucking awesome, right? Like this is inventory and shit like that. And now legit, pushing weight is the goal, right? I mean, it's the goal anyways if you're in the trap or whatever. But
Yeah.
like, I'm legally gonna push weight and legally pay my bills and try and be an asset, trappers aren't doing that. I mean, not everybody's fucking Al Capone who gives the community right turkeys to the local community, on Thanksgiving or whatever. Like, that's like pretend shit. Now I can actually like see what Peckin needs and see what what's out there. Everybody's different. Every place is different. That's gonna be the experience about the store, I think. So yeah, no, thanks for hanging out and having me on and all that shit. Fuck, I
Yeah,
talk too
dude.
much, dude.
No, that's what I love about doing this show. I like giving people the space to, man. And I just wanted to say I'll be there too. I'll make sure to be there when you guys open up and at least check the place out. I'm sure it's
Hell
gonna be
yeah.
cool. And it's always cool to see Tom in person. And I don't think I've seen. Did I see you at Benzinga?
No. I the only place I've been so far has been New Mexico CanCon and MJ Biz, which is the
Well,
biggest one.
we'll have to make an in-person smoke session happen ASAP. All
Well,
day.
this year should be the year I get up there.
Hell
I
yeah,
mean,
dude.
once we get a foundation, that's when the real story, the adventure begins. Gonna be documenting it. I'm hoping like just the social media alone will help compensate for the lack of working or employment. There's gonna be a whole fucking like trying not to sell my butthole on the corner at any time soon. I mean, this thing is primo tight ass. It'll sell for a lot.
That's a perfect note to end on.
Right on.
Well, anyways, Miggy, thank you again for sitting down and happy Monday, everybody. Have a good week. Yeah, thank you both for tuning in. So these Zoom live streams don't end well, so I'm just gonna kick you guys out of here, and I'll see you later.
Right on,
Take
dude.
care.
Good night.
Yep,
Laters.
kicked out Phil first.
Sweet.
Oh, I
Cheers, dude.
I about clicked the report name on my button on my own name. I don't even know how that's possible. Cheers, Miggy. Thank you
Later,
for
brother.
coming on.
No
Take care.
worries. Ciao.
All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in live. Have a good one. Bye. Smash that like button.